Okay, hi everybody, welcome. This is another cool innovation station open lab for you today. And we're just thinking that you may be getting to a point where you're beginning to add some content maybe to your course, maybe not, but hopefully this might come in handy when that time comes. D2L has a lot, or Brightspace has a lot of really good useful tools. You'll find those in your CougarVIEW course, and that's hopefully what I'll be able to cover today. I want to go ahead and go over the objectives for my session. I want to demonstrate to you use of the document template button, which is inside of your CougarVIEW course, and show you where that is, how to access that. I wanted to emphasize the availability of a collection of syllabus templates that we have for you and show you that. I would like to demonstrate the tools to use that you can use to make your HTML pages accessible. And then finally, I hope to be able to share with you, if not during this presentation, but later on through email, some detailed documentation on using the document templates and other HTML accessibility tools in your course. So let's go on with the topics. So these are the topics I'll be covering today, and I'm just going to go one by one and make this screen a little smaller so that I can pull up my demo course for you. So where I'm going to start is at my home page in CougarVIEW, and then I'm going to go up to the waffle icon at the top here, and I am going to go in sandbox, but we are more than happy to create a sandbox for you. A sandbox is just a course shell that has the same navigation that all the other courses in CougarVIEW have, but it's an empty course shell, so you can create all kinds in there without worrying about messing something up in a course where students are. So it's just a place where you can kind of play and experiment a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my sandbox, and what you see in this course is a variety of things. This is how your course will look, of course. And so you're going to see some things that I've already played with before. When you get your brand new sandbox, you will see there will be nothing in it, and you will be free to start adding stuff as you need to. So I'm in my sandbox, and the next thing I'm going to do is go to content. And when I go to content, what I am looking at here is a table of contents on the left side, and then a list of the modules that are in the table of contents, and then I can see each individual link that's in each module. So I can just scroll down. These are just all my test areas that I've been playing with. So we are in the table of contents, and for today, I'm going to go ahead and create a new module just to demo these accessible page tools that we have. So at the bottom of the table of contents, underneath all of the other modules is a field down here. It says add a module. So all I'm going to do is just select that, and it opens up. So I'm going to type in demo document. I can just spell. A little nervous here. Demo document template button, and then I'm just going to hit return, and that generates a new module. And I'm going to go ahead and go in there, select it, and as you can see on the right-hand side, there's the title of the module, and then you can see there's nothing underneath, no other links underneath here, and that's where we're going to get started. I did want to point out to you, you have options to set dates for modules if you wanted to open modules at a certain time, or what some people like to do is open a module at a time, maybe once a week, or a module may open after a student completes a certain quiz or a certain score on the quiz. Well, you can do that with this dates and restrictions option here. You can also add a description to the module. That is something that students will see with the table of content. They'll get a little hint as to what's being covered in that module. And I can just kind of type in an example. I can't talk and type at the same time, so I'm just going to type. Okay, so I just said in this module we'll look at the HTML editor because that's actually what you're going to be finding a lot when you go through your course. It's called the HTML editor, but it's basically this box that we're looking at here is an open box here with navigation across the top. You'll see that in lots and lots of places throughout the course. It's just Brightspace's way, CougarView's way of giving you a place where you can edit and add content. So we'll look at that a little bit more. I'm just going to select Update, and now this description to my module is visible to students from the table of contents. So let's get to the document template button, which is the next topic. In order to use the document template button, what we need to do is create a file. So under this blue button are a whole bunch of things you could do, but I'm going to go down to the third link underneath that button, and it's called Create a File. So I'm going to select that. And what that does is it opens up, again, here's the HTML editor. Looks very familiar with all of these links across the top. So the HTML editor is just going to allow me to enter content in this text box, basically. But what we wanted to do today was show the document template button and what's underneath that. So when I select document template button up here, I can see a list of templates available. And I will let you know that if you've heard us talk about the Common Course template, the Common Course template is a model for arranging course content from module to module, and it proposes that modules have an overview page. There's the template for that. Content pages, there's a template for that. And a review page, there's a template for that as well. So these templates model what's in our Common Course template, and the Common Course template is just a basic structure in which you can copy and paste your content and use that template as a guide for laying out content from module to module. So I thought it might be beneficial, though I'm not sure where everyone is, but one of the first things that people might be putting in their course might be their syllabus. So I thought it might be beneficial to go ahead and choose the syllabus template here. If you are with the College of Business, you might be, but if you are, there is another template for the College of Business because I think there were some very specific items that needed to be included in all the syllabus pages in the College of Business. So that's a special template for the College of Business. But for now, I'm just going to go with the basic course syllabus template. And when I select this, what happens is it loads into the window. So now it's in the HTML editor window, and I can highlight and make edits to this content, just like I could in Word or any other text editor. So before I do anything else, though, I'm going to enter a title because I know if I try to save this, it's not going to let me until I enter a title. So I'm just going to call it the demo syllabus. And the next thing I want to do is first of all, I want to click around in this page a little bit. And what I want you to do is keep your eye on this menu right here. So this is what we call the format menu. And the format menu has choices in it like paragraph. It has H1, H2, and H3 choices on down. These are special choices for formatting text in your page. And these, excuse me, these choices actually tie to an accessibility tool and allow accessibility tools like a screen reader. You may have heard of a screen reader. What a screen reader does is it reads web content and it reads aloud. So for someone who can't see this web content, it will read certain things aloud. And one of the things it does read aloud are pieces of text that have been identified with H1, H2, H3, and so on. And it will identify those as heading 2 or heading 1. And when it reads it aloud, it's just a navigational aid for someone who can't see the page. So it's very useful to use this. And these will make content accessible as well. So in the course syllabus template, as I click around in here, I want you to notice that this format menu is changing. So right now it says H1, and that's because I'm selecting the title of the page. So you usually have just one H1, one title for every page, but you can have multiple heading 2s and multiple heading 3s. And so what happens is the headings start with 1, and then they go to 2 and down to 3, and they transition in that way as the content gets more and more organized. And so a heading 2, you can see that when I selected course information, it changed to heading 2. A heading 2 would be identifying the title of a subsection. And if I scroll down and highlight instructor information, that is also a heading 2. So you can have multiple heading 2s on a single page. And that is a way to identify that as a title, and here's a new section. And that's kind of the way it works as a navigational aid. The page also has a heading 3. So if you can see under required textbooks and materials, that required materials is a heading 3. So, and it is a subsection within required textbooks and materials, if that makes sense. So you can kind of continue to subdivide on down. I've rarely seen a page that goes to a heading 4, but you have that as an option if you want to do that, or if your materials require it. So that's a little bit about this format menu. And that using that, and especially starting with the templates, using the templates, content accessible, and keep using those headings to identify sections of content. Everything else in here is either a list or it's a paragraph setting. So if I highlight this information, the course name, credit hours, course description, you can see that format menu is now changed to paragraph. So it's being used throughout this page to identify what kind of text it is, what kind of content it is. Let's see, what else do we want to cover? I can scroll down here and we can take a look at the textbooks and materials. You'll notice there's a list here, and that's just a default list suggestion. You might want to list the textbook and ISBN number, kind of thing. If you wanted to add a link to where the textbook could be found on Amazon or something like that, you could do that. I'm going to experiment with that just a little bit, because the next thing I wanted to talk about was the development of links on the page. If you'll notice up here, this is a link. It's got this blue underline. It says CSU Bookstore. And then there's another link down here that says General Education Student Learning Outcomes. So it's a usability thing. It's also an accessibility thing, that links that are developed actually are titled with where that link is going to end up. So I wanted to put a link to Amazon instead of saying more, or instead of saying click here, you know, I would want to say find the book on Amazon. Something like that. And then I would highlight it, and then I would link it. So when you're linking, you've got all these options. Right now I'm just going to link to a URL, which is an external website, Amazon or whichever website it is. So I'm just going to select the URL. So and enter the I'm going to enter the website address. So for now, I'm just going to type in Amazon.com, and you'll notice the title of the link is still there. And notice also that new window is selected by default. And that's good, good practice to, if you have a link that's external to the course, to have that link open in a new tab or window. But like the screen reader I was mentioning earlier will read headings, it will also read links aloud. And whatever you have in this title field is what the screen reader is going to read aloud. So when the screen reader encounters this link, it's going to say, link, find the book on Amazon here. That's good information. So yeah, that completely explains what the link does. But we might want to add an additional piece here, and because we're selecting new window, we may want to add the additional piece of new window in parentheses. So now the link will read, find the book on Amazon here, new window, and that will indicate to the person that can't see something happening, that will indicate to them that if their browser settings are to open a new tab, that a new tab will open. And if their browser settings are to open a new window, then a new window will be opening, and they will have a heads up that's actually going to be happening, so they can go and find that window or tab. So I'm going to click insert, and it's balking at me because what it wants is the full address. So I need to type in that HTTP part, and now it's going to be happy. So you have to have the full web address. Copying and pasting is an easy way to do that. So now we have a fully formed link with all the pieces of information that we need in order to make that accessible and usable. I want you to also notice here, I'm going to delete these bad links here, that all of these items listed under required materials are in a list format. That is a bulleted list format, and when I highlighted that, you could see that this tool over here, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but I am mousing over this unordered list icon, and it is lit up. If you can barely tell, it's very light blue, but it's lit up because I'm highlighting this list. So it's indicating to me that, you know, I'm on that list. If I click away from it, you can see that this no longer lights up. So, oops, I'll do that. My cursor was in this line, and it thought it wanted to be a bullet, but it does be a bullet. Now, I can, like with, I can change that from a plain bulleted list to a numbered list, which is what this is. And that's under this little menu here. It says ordered list. And you'll want to use this when you're defining steps in a process, or if you're thinking that students, especially with a course learning outcomes, the students are first going to learn this, then they're going to next learn this, and then they're going to, and so that's why these are numbered, because they are sequential. And a student will first get this learning objective, then they'll move to the next learning objective. So you can also use that tool for that purpose as well. Let me see where we are here. Let's see, what else can I show you on the icons? Well, there are many other formatting types icons here. The other thing I think I need to show you before we pop away is the image, placing an image and what that does, and how you can make that accessible. So, and I'm thinking I need to just real quickly open this up real quick and drag this out. Okay, there it is. I had accidentally trashed that image I was going to test with, so now I have it. And what I want to do is place an image to the textbook in here so students will know what that looks like. So I'm just putting my cursor down right after this little sentence here and hitting a return on my keyboard. And now I'm going to enter an image, and that icon is second from the left up here, insert image. And I can link to one, but what I'm going to do is I have it on my computer, so I'm just going to add it that way. So I'm going to my computer, and then I have this nice little window. I can drag the image right in there if I see it on my desktop, which I do, or I can just select upload and go find it. I'm just going to drag it in. And then what I want to do here is just not go ahead and add, but I want to go ahead and I want to choose a destination, because what this is going to do is it's going to just taking that extra step to help me organize materials. So anytime I have an image, I want to make sure that image goes into my image folder in case I need to find it later. Otherwise, there'll just be a bunch of images and files and stuff all in the root directory of my course, and it's just going to make it hard to find stuff. So as long as it can be organized that way, it'll make it much easier in the long run. Just take that extra step. So all I have to do here is I have an image folder already. I'm just going to highlight it and then select the path. And that's going to put that image into my image folder. And if I click on Add, it gives me this pop-up box. What does this mean? Okay. So it's saying provide alternative text. And what is alternative text? Basically what alternative text is, it is a description of the image. And so you want to think about that image that you're putting on the web page, and is it as if you were describing what that image is to somebody over the phone who's not looking at the web page, and you're trying to describe the color and the shape and what it has in the image and all that. And you want to make sure you get a really good description in there. A good rule of thumb is, I believe, 75 characters, no more than that. That's a lot of characters, but you want to think about that in your length of description. Just get enough in there to say what it is. The other thing is, because it's an image, because it's a picture, I don't have to say that. I can just say what it is. So right now, I'm going to do this picture up. And here it is. And what I'm going to do is look at this picture and think for a second what I'm going to say about it. The Challenge of Politics. That's the title of the textbook. So I'm just going to say cover of the textbook. The Challenge of Politics. I can spell. I can't talk and write at the same time, as mentioned. All right, now I can say, okay. In the rare case where you're going to have a decorative image, you can check this box. That means, yeah, basically if it's decorative, if it doesn't add any contextual information, if it doesn't add to the experience of the course page, it's considered decorative. But if it has any information at all in it, and it really adds to the experience, you want to consider it alternative description. So I'm going to click OK. All right, now I've got this pop-up because I've already uploaded this image when I was trying to. You want to rename that file because you already have one there. I know that it's already there, and I know it was put up there earlier today, so I'm just going to say overwrite the existing file. I'm okay with that because I know. So I'm just going to go and click today, and there it appears on the page. And I know that it has a description on it attached to it. It's a part of the image tag. And so when the screen reader comes through this page and reads everything aloud, it's going to encounter that image tag and it's like, oh, it's an image. And it's going to say image, and it's going to read that description that I just typed in. So that's another way you can make your course content. The last thing I wanted to go over, well, I haven't gone over copying and pasting text, so I'll just do that real quick. I'm going to go out to a website and get some random text, no worries, and I'm going to copy and paste into this template so you can see how easy it is to do. I'm going to work on the course description up here. I can type in my name and phone number, or course name and number. Let's say it's Polls 1101, and credit hours 3. And you don't always have to type everything. You can copy and paste. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to open this up. This is just random. This has nothing to do with this actual course. So I'm just copying something random. And now I am going to paste it in here. So I've got my cursor set right here after this colon with a space, and I'm pasting it in. And you notice this text comes in with the same size, style, and format as the paragraph text in the template. So I don't have to spend a lot of time tweaking it, making it right, making it the same color, making it the same size, or anything like that. It just takes on the characteristic of the template. That's another time-saving feature and reason why we would love it if you would use the template. And then the last thing I'm going to do is change the path. Now, this is a tool that is below the editing window, and it would greatly hearten me if I could see that also repeated above the window, because it gets overlooked. I overlook and forget about it all the time because it's below the window. You don't nice little editing, you get it all ready to go, and you go to save, and this gets overlooked so easily. So I just wanted to point it out right now. What we're looking at here, this is a little trail, little breadcrumbs to where we are in the whole entire system. This is the name of my course. So where we are in the whole entire system is at the root directory of my course. And don't worry about any of this right now. All I want you to know is that you can select change path. And you know, just like you organize content on your computer at home or on your computer at work, if you have access to your computer at work right now, is by folders. And so that's the same concept with your course. You've got folders you can create to save things in and just kind of keep things organized. And it keeps things sort of like my desktop on my computer tends to get real cluttered after a while because it just kind of like all stuff ends up there. And it's just like this becomes this big mass of pictures and icons on my desktop. Every now and again, I have to go in there and start sorting through and deleting some things and moving things into folders. The same idea. You got folders you can create and you can put stuff in. So this particular page is my syllabus file. So what I'm going to do is very carefully save that. I know that it's going to belong in my Getting Started folder up here. Your folder might say Start Here. It might say Course Orientation or something like that. But the concept is the syllabus is the basic file for the course, and I want it to go into a very specific place. I'm going to choose, just by highlighting, I'm just going to choose the Getting Started folder. And this is all within my course, and then I'm going to select the path. And as you can see, now I'm one layer deeper. Now it's organized. Now it's going into the right folder that I want it to go into. And the last thing is to enclose. And there's lots and lots of other things we can do. We can go into, we can add video, we can do all kinds of really fun things, but that's just kind of a basic idea of the HTML editor and the document template. Remember that it's under here, and I'd love it if you could just go in and just open up and just practice loading those into your sandbox and taking a look at what they are and seeing if they can be useful to you as you begin to add more and more content to your courses. I'm going to go ahead and save this now. And it's spinning. And okay, so now it's saved. If I wanted to go back and edit it, I could go back and go to Edit HTML and do more edits to it later. But just scrolling down, there's the picture. This is really an enormous image. So I might go back in and make that a little smaller. Here's my link to Amazon. Here's my numbered list for the objectives. Here are my grading. Here's my grading section. I did not point this out in the HTML editor, but know that the syllabus template comes with already an accessible table for your grading activities and your grades. These tables are already made accessible for you, and all you have to do is just come in and edit the rows and enter your own customized information into these tables. You can add rows, take rows away. Everything's good. It's just all there and ready for you. Down toward the bottom, just to point out, of the syllabus template are a set of course policies. There has been some discussion here and there about making each of these course policies a separate file, and we're still just looking at that and thinking about that. Down below that are some other pieces of information that could be shared with students, commitment in an online course, the technical requirements, things like that. And so about halfway down and then further all the way down are really more template-y things for you to just keep in the syllabus template that's just informational. What you'll be doing is editing pretty much the first half, the top half of the syllabus template for yourself. And I think that's going to be it for the presentation part. And I am going to now be quiet and see if there are any questions from anybody. Anything you might like to ask or see again? The floor is yours.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hey.
Great job. You touched all of the essential accessibility guidelines. Would you be willing to edit HTML and demonstrate the Check Accessibility tool?
Yeah, good idea. Good idea. Let me give this a pause. Let some tape roll here, and I'll go into that in just a second.
Okay.
Okay, so we had a question from someone wanting to see the HTML editor and the accessibility checker. We're at home. We have our pets. So as I showed earlier, you can edit HTML, and there is an accessibility checker built into CougarVIEW, and please use that as you go through. It'll give you some valuable information. And it is down at the bottom of the HTML editor window. it is this icon with the eye. It's got a little eye and a check, and it's called Check Accessibility. So even if you're just mousing over and you don't see the eye and the check, the icon itself is labeled. It says Check Accessibility. So let's just give this a shot and see what it says. I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, that this will work out. So I'm going to go ahead and go there. No accessibility issues. Let me take that empty, let me make that image description empty and see what it tells me, okay? So I'm just going to experiment for a second. I'm going to go back bones of the page. Don't worry about any of this stuff. I'm just going to go ahead and make an adjustment. What I did was remove the image description, and we'll see if the accessibility checker gives me any feedback about that. Didn't. What do I need to do, Anne? Take the whole tag out?
That's a tough one to demonstrate because the D2L accessibility checker and images are, it will flag it if it's missing alt text, but it's difficult to remove it and have it flag it. So one that would be really great to demonstrate, Jennifer, would be there it did. Yay.
Here we go. So what I did was I removed the accessibility tag, the alternative text tag from the image information in the HTML, and came back and ran the accessibility checker, and now it's telling in there. So I luckily copied it. I'm going to paste that in there and then go to the next issue. And
great one.
Repair issue. Then it told me, I selected repair issue after I entered the title, and then it told me no more issues. And you're our accessibility specialist. Did you have any other ideas or suggestions about what else can we do for this web page that will help it?
Well, you demonstrated all of the essential guidelines. One thing you might want to try is to write some of your own text, or just change some of the existing font color to a font color that's not going to have good contrast with background. And then you can run the checker. And
okay, I'm going to make this paragraph of text really light gray. I can see already below. Let me just go ahead and go through that again. So I highlighted this text, and then I came way over here to the right where the color block is, and I selected the menu to change the color of the text. And if you'll notice, underneath this example is a WCAGAA. That's we call it WCAG AA standard, and that right now dark gray text on a white background meets the standard, and it's given us the green check mark here. If I highlight that text and I change it to a lighter gray, you can see that it no longer meets the AA standard for WCAG. There's the big red X there now. So that gives you a lot of really good information as far as making sure your text has enough contrast for everybody to see it on the background where it sits. And this would work with dark backgrounds and light colored text. It works with light colored backgrounds and dark text. So both ways. This will give you valuable information about the readability. That's a good idea to look at that, Anne. Thank you.
Yeah, that's all I have to add. Great job.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? If not, I'll stop the recording.